Detective Clarkin never expected this. He had been on the force for over 2 decades, and in that time, he had seen more than his fair share of gruesome crime scenes and perplexing mysteries. But nothing could have prepared him for what he was about to uncover. He had seen it all. Or so he thought. Each case had its own unique challenges, but they all followed a certain logic, a pattern that could be deciphered with enough patience and skill. Murders, thefts, and mysteries were his bread and butter. He thrived on the thrill of the chase, the satisfaction of piecing together clues to solve the puzzle. But this case, this one felt different. It felt evil. There was a malevolence to it that he couldn't quite put his finger on. It began with a series of strange symbols appearing around town. They were crudely drawn, almost childlike in their simplicity, but there was an unsettling quality to them. They seemed to pulse with a dark energy, as if they were alive. But there was something about them, something that gnawed at the edges of his mind, whispering of ancient secrets and forgotten horrors. He couldn't shake the feeling that these symbols were a warning, a harbinger of something terrible, something that sent shivers down Clarkin's spine. He had faced danger before, but this was different. This was a fear that went beyond the physical, a primal terror that reached into the depths of his soul. The symbols led him to a name: the Order of the Ram. It was a name that seemed to echo with ancient power, a name that carried with it the weight of centuries of dark deeds and forbidden knowledge.
Clarkin started digging. He pored over old documents, scoured through dusty archives, and interviewed anyone who might have a connection to this mysterious cult. The more he learned, the more he realized how little he truly knew. He soon found himself in a world he never knew existed, a world hidden in the shadows where ancient rituals and dark magic were not just the stuff of legend, but a terrifying reality, a world of ancient rituals and dark magic. The Order of the Ram was not just a cult, it was a brotherhood bound by blood and secrecy, dedicated to unlocking the darkest secrets of the universe. The Order of the Ram was a cult, shrouded in secrecy. They operated in the shadows, their true intentions hidden behind layers of deception and misdirection. But Clarkin was determined to uncover the truth. Their goal? To summon something powerful, something evil. They believed that by performing their dark rituals, they could bring forth an ancient entity, a being of unimaginable power and malevolence. Clarkin knew he had to stop them. He couldn't allow such a force to be unleashed upon the world, but he was just one man, and the Order was vast and well organized. He would need to be smart, resourceful, and above all, brave. But how do you fight what you don't understand? The more he delved into the mysteries of the Order, the more questions he had. The symbols, the rituals, the ancient texts, they were all pieces of a puzzle that seemed impossible to solve. The deeper he went, the more he realized he was in over his head. This wasn't just a case of catching a criminal, it was a battle against forces that defied comprehension. He was up against something far greater than he had ever imagined. This wasn't just a case, it was a descent into darkness, a journey into the unknown, where every step brought him closer to the edge of madness. But he couldn't turn back now. Too much was at stake. It was a descent into darkness. And as he walked down that dark, narrow hallway, he knew that whatever lay at the end, he would face it head on. For he was Detective Clarkin, and he would not be defeated by the darkness. The Order of the Ram. The name itself was enough to send a chill down your spine. Whispers of their existence had circulated for years, myths and legends passed down through generations. They were a group obsessed with the occult, drawn to the darkness that lurked beneath the surface of the world. They sought power, the kind of power that could only be obtained through forbidden means. Their rituals were said to be both elaborate and grotesque, involving sacrifices, incantations, and the summoning of entities from beyond the veil. The ram was their symbol, a representation of power, virility, and sacrifice. But it was also a symbol of something else, something far more sinister. It was a gateway, a portal to a realm of darkness and despair. The Order believed that by harnessing the power of the ram, they could tap into a primal force. This force was not just any ordinary energy, it was an ancient raw power that had been revered and feared for centuries. The ram, a symbol of strength and determination, was seen as a conduit to this untamed energy. The cult members, draped in their dark robes, would gather around the stone altar, their faces hidden in the shadows, as they chanted incantations from the ancient book adorned with ram symbols. a force that could grant them their deepest desires. They believed that by invoking the ram, they could achieve unimaginable power, wealth, and even immortality. The glowing symbol, a beacon of their hopes and dreams, would pulsate with energy as they reached out, their hands trembling with anticipation. The air would grow thick with a dark, mysterious force, and an eerie light would cast long shadows in the room, adding to the sense of foreboding. Their rituals were shrouded in secrecy. Only the most devoted and trusted members were allowed to participate. These gatherings were held in the dead of night, away from the prying eyes of the outside world. The hooded figures would form a shadowy circle, their faces obscured as they read from ancient scrolls filled with cryptic writing. Each word, each symbol, held a power that was both alluring and terrifying. Taking place in hidden locations, far from prying eyes. These sites were chosen for their isolation and their connection to the ancient energies the cult sought to harness. An abandoned, overgrown forest clearing, a hidden underground cavern, or an old, decrepit mansion at night. Each location added to the mystique and danger of the rituals. The cult members would navigate these treacherous paths, driven by their desire to unlock the secrets of the ram. One ritual, whispered about in hushed tones, was the rite of the Black Flame. This was no ordinary ceremony. It was a rite of immense power and danger. The cult members would gather in a dark room, their whispers barely audible over the crackling of the candles. The ancient ritual book, a tome of forbidden knowledge, would be placed at the center, surrounded by eerie symbols drawn on the ground. These symbols, glowing faintly, were said to be the key to unlocking the power of the Black Flame. It was a summoning ritual. The goal was to call forth an entity of immense power, a being that could grant them their deepest desires. The summoning circle, lined with candles, would be the focal point of the ritual. At its center, a mysterious, glowing sigil would appear, pulsating with energy. As the cult members chanted, a dark figure would begin to emerge from the shadows, its presence sending a chill down their spines. A desperate attempt to draw forth something ancient and powerful. The ancient weathered grimoire, filled with spells and incantations, would be their guide. The shadowy figure, forming in the darkness, was a manifestation of their hopes and fears. The flickering candlelight would cast eerie shadows on the walls, adding to the sense of dread and anticipation. This was a moment of truth for the cult members, a test of their faith and determination. The details of the ritual were unknown. Only the highest-ranking members of the order had access to the full knowledge of the rite of the Black Flame. The rest could only speculate and fear. The cult members, chanting in the dim light, would follow the instructions from the mysterious ancient text. The dark, foreboding atmosphere would weigh heavily on them, a constant reminder of the risks they were taking. But the mere mention of it sent shivers down the spines of even the most hardened occultists. The rite of the Black Flame was a topic of fear and fascination. The wide-eyed occultists, their faces pale with fear, would huddle in the shadowy corners of the dimly lit room, whispering about the dangers and the potential rewards. The eerie, tense atmosphere would be palpable, a testament to the power and danger of the ritual. The Black Flame was said to be a being of pure chaos, a force that could not be controlled or contained. The black swirling flame would be a manifestation of this chaotic energy, a dark, malevolent force that thrived in the darkness. The cult members believed that by summoning the Black Flame, they could harness its power for their own purposes, but this was a dangerous gamble, one that could easily backfire, a creature of immense power and malice. The Black Flame was not just a force of nature, it was a sentient being with its own will and desires. The terrifying creature, emerging from the shadows, would have glowing, malevolent eyes that seemed to pierce through the darkness. This dark, powerful entity was both a source of fear and fascination for the cult members. They sought to control it, to bend it to their will, but they underestimated its true nature. The order sought to control it. The cult leaders, their faces set with determination, would perform the ritual with unwavering focus. The ancient symbols, glowing ominously, would be their guide. They believed that through their rituals they could bend the Black Flame to their will, using its power to achieve their goals. But this was a dangerous path, one that required absolute faith and determination, to bend it to their will. The cult members would channel the dark energy, their hands trembling with the effort. The ritualistic symbols, drawing power from the Black Flame, would glow brighter as the energy flowed through them. The fierce determination in their faces would be a testament to their resolve. They believed that they could control the black flame, that they could harness its power for their own purposes, but they underestimated its true nature. The chaotic energy would begin to spiral out of control, overwhelming the cult members. Their horrified expressions would be a testament to their realization that they had unleashed something far more powerful than they could handle. The dark force would begin to consume everything in its path, a reminder of the dangers of playing with forces beyond their understanding. They were playing with fire. The flames would spread uncontrollably, a manifestation of the chaos they had unleashed. The desperate faces of the cult members, illuminated by the candlelight, would be a testament to their fear and regret. The dark, dangerous ritual had backfired, and they were now facing the consequences of their actions, and soon they would be consumed by it. The cult members engulfed in flames would be a stark reminder of the dangers of tampering with forces beyond their control. The dark force would consume everything in its path, leaving behind a trail of chaos and destruction. The fiery destruction would be a testament to the power and danger of the black flame, a force that could not be controlled or contained.
Mia was an ordinary woman, or so she thought. She had a job she enjoyed, friends she cherished, and a small apartment that she called home. Her days were filled with the mundane yet comforting routines of life. Morning coffee, a brisk walk to work, and evenings spent reading or watching her favorite shows. She lived a quiet life, content in her routine. Weekends were spent exploring the local farmers market or catching up with friends over brunch. She found joy in the simplicity of her existence, never yearning for more than what she had. But everything changed when she found the book. It was a rainy afternoon, and she had taken refuge in a quaint old bookstore she had never noticed before. As she wandered through the aisles, her eyes were drawn to a dusty, leather-bound tome tucked away on a high shelf. It was old, bound in leather with strange symbols embossed on the cover. The symbols seemed to glow faintly in the dim light, almost as if they were alive. She felt an inexplicable pull towards it, a curiosity that she couldn't ignore. She felt drawn to it, compelled to open it. Her fingers traced the intricate designs on the cover before she finally lifted it open. The pages were filled with strange, archaic text and illustrations that seemed to move when she wasn't looking directly at them.
And as she did, her world began to unravel. The once comforting routines of her life started to feel suffocating. She found herself distracted at work, unable to focus on even the simplest tasks. Her friends noticed the change in her, but she brushed off their concerns. The book spoke of things she couldn't understand. It was filled with tales of ancient powers, forbidden knowledge, and rituals that promised to unlock secrets of the universe. She spent hours poring over its pages, trying to decipher its meaning, of ancient powers and forbidden knowledge. The more she read, the more she felt a connection to the book, as if it was speaking directly to her. The symbols and illustrations began to make sense in a way that defied logic. It whispered to her in her dreams, pulling her deeper into its web of darkness. Her nights were plagued with vivid nightmares filled with shadowy figures and haunting voices. She would wake up in a cold sweat, the book always by her side.
She tried to resist, to ignore the whispers. She locked the book away, hoping that out of sight would mean out of mind. But the whispers grew louder, more insistent, echoing in her mind even when she was awake. But it was no use. The book had a hold of her, a grip on her very soul. She felt its presence constantly, a dark shadow looming over her every move. Her once peaceful life was now a battleground of fear and confusion. The book had a hold of her, a grip on her very soul. She clutched it tightly, unable to let go, even though she knew it was the source of her torment. It was as if the book had become a part of her, an extension of her very being. She began to see things, shadows that moved on their own, figures that disappeared when she turned to look. Her reality was slipping away, replaced by a world of darkness and fear. Shadows moving in the corner of her eye. They seemed to follow her, lurking just out of sight. She could feel their eyes on her, watching, waiting. She heard voices, whispering her name from the darkness. They called to her, beckoning her to join them. She tried to block them out, but they only grew louder, more persistent. Her life was falling apart. Her apartment, once a sanctuary, was now a chaotic mess. She couldn't keep up with her responsibilities, and her relationships were strained to the breaking point. And she didn't know who to turn to. She felt isolated, alone in her struggle. The book had taken over her life, and she feared there was no way to escape its grasp. Desperation set in as she realized that the ordinary life she once knew was gone forever. Mia's house had always been her sanctuary, a place of peace and solitude. But now it felt different. It felt cold, oppressive. The shadows seemed to deepen. The silence became heavy with unspoken words.
It began subtly, a door creaking open on its own, an object disappearing and reappearing in a different spot. But it quickly escalated. She saw glimpses of figures lurking in the shadows, felt a cold breath on the back of her neck.
She was plagued by nightmares, vivid, terrifying dreams of being chased through endless corridors by unseen entities. Her once peaceful home had become a prison, a place of fear and dread. She was trapped, alone with whatever darkness she had unwittingly invited in.
The Order of the Ram sought to summon inhuman spirits, beings from beyond the veil of reality. They were drawn to places of power, to individuals steeped in fear and despair. These spirits were not benevolent. They were creatures of chaos and malice, driven by an insatiable hunger. They fed on negative emotions, on fear, anger, and hatred. Their presence was a corruption, a stain on the fabric of reality. To encounter an inhuman spirit was to invite madness. They could twist your perceptions, make you doubt your own sanity. They whispered lies in the darkness, sowing seeds of doubt and despair. They were a threat to everything good and pure. And once they set their sights on you, there was no escape.